Thanks as always. Amy Holmes is an anchor for Real News at The Blaze, also a former speechwriter for former Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist. Amy, thank you for coming in.
A pleasure.
Let's talk about Donald Trump's relationship with people that look like us. First, he claims, again, I want to make sure I get this right. First, he claims that he has a great relationship with black people. Second, he calls black people, he calls us the blacks. How would you characterize Donald Trump's relationship with black people?
Probably one way at this point. More talking at people than listening to people. How would you characterize Donald Trump's relationships with any constituency? I think his main constituency is himself. And Katie's absolutely right that Donald Trump, he's not laying out specifics for Republican primary voters on anything, really. And even when he talks about women's issues, as you saw in the last CNN debate, his basic line was, I'm going to be terrific for women. I'm going to be great for women. But did he have specifics? No.
Do you think when he does start to roll out some details, and we got the impression from Katie Tur that it could start happening sooner rather than later, when he starts to do that, do we think that we'll see another surge in the polls, or do you think that is when the Trump fatigue may start to set in?
Well, you're proposing something that may never happen.
You don't think he ever reveals any sort of details, any sort of...
At the moment, we see him shooting from the hip, just sort of flying out there, and it's working. And I think, you can criticize him for this because maybe he doesn't actually have any specifics, but on the other hand, it has been successful for him. And when you roll out specifics, that's when you can get specifically attacked, as Hillary Clinton is finding on the other side, when she just came out saying that she opposes the Keystone XL oil pipeline. Martin O'Malley, one of her rivals, came right out and attacked her right away. So, by keeping things fuzzy, amorphous, slogans, even pandering, that's been working for Donald Trump, and keeping the focus more on his personality than what is he going to do for America.
I want to bring up this Bloomberg poll. Again, Donald Trump being introduced here, so when he starts to speak, we'll listen in. But there's this Bloomberg poll, this new poll that's out there. It is right there. And the question was simple. Realistic vision of this person being president. Very simple question. Voters asked the same question about a series of presidential candidates. And look at the numbers here. Donald Trump, 29% yes, 69% no. No realistic vision of this person being president. How does that number peacefully coexist with the polling that we see?
And yet he's on top of the polls. So it's sort of people, you can even look at it as Donald Trump is the dream candidate, but will the dream happen for his supporters? And a lot of voters are saying, no, I don't realistically see Donald Trump in the White House.
But these are the same voters who presumably are saying, when a pollster calls, yes, I would vote for him.
Exactly. They say that they would vote for him, but again, it's like, here's what I would like to do. Do I think other people will put him in the White House? Realistically, do I think he has a chance of occupying 1600 Pennsylvania? Those can be very different things, very different judgments.
Let's listen in a bit again. Donald Trump in North Charleston, South Carolina.
Nice. You had no notice. I can't believe all these people. You had no notice. They just asked me to pop by. I'm going to be in another part of the state in about 2 hours. And they asked me to pop by, and look at everybody shows up. That's incredible. That's incredible. Beautiful. And I appreciate it. We had a nice flight in, and I said, there won't be any way I can do this. And they said, please, could you just come for a little while, just say a few words? And to have this kind of a turnout is just fantastic. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And I got here, and I have Miss South Carolina. Where is Miss South Carolina? Come on up here. Come here. So nice. So nice. So she just got back, actually, from Miss America, and she was top 7. Very impressive. And she has a fantastic voice. Would you like to see? I wouldn't mind. I'd rather have her sing than me talk, if you want to know the truth. Well, I want to just congratulate you, darling. It's a fantastic job. Great going. So, we have a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of business, a lot of happenings over the last little while. And some of the cute things, but relatively unimportant, although maybe it is important. And if you want to stand, if everyone, there's some seats if you want. Stand if you want. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Huh? I love you too. I love you too. You know, it's funny. We talk about the press, and it's very interesting because I got here. We have all these great stories coming out. The polls are through the roof. You see what happens with the crowds on 10 minutes' notice. But the polls are through the roof. And here's one that they just reported, right? A poll. It's from Florida. Just came out. And here's the headline to show you about the press. Marco Rubio, who, by the way, has the worst attendance record in the U.S. Senate, has got the #1 worst attendance record, and they want him to be president, right? Marco Rubio passes Jeb Bush in the Florida poll. That's just the headline. Big story all over. So it says Marco Rubio passes Jeb Bush in the Florida poll. So I say, oh, that's too bad. I guess I thought I would do well in Florida. And then the first sentence is, Donald Trump is the winner. But I'm not in the headline. No, think about it. So here's the story. Rubio passes Bush, headline, big headline. But Trump has 31.5%. Rubio has 19.2%. And Bush has 11.3%. But I'm not in the headline. Now that tells you about the press, right? Do you think there's a little bit of a problem maybe that they have with me? I don't know. Here, you can, who wants it, right? Here, you got it. Give it to her. Then one that is even more bothersome, frankly, is Boeing. So Boeing, and I've been talking about this for a long time, Boeing is going to sell 300 jets to China. But as part of the deal, they're going to set up a massive plant in a big section of China. They're going to build planes over in China. And
all right,
you
there
tell
you have
me
it, Donald Trump
why?
in North Charleston. Speaking at an event there, he spent some time talking about Marco Rubio's attendance record in the U.S. Senate. He also spent some time talking about Jeb Bush, as he frequently does. And then, Amy Holmes, something that I found absolutely surprising, if not mind-boggling, he was complaining about not being in the headline. Donald Trump upset he's not getting enough press.
Right, Donald Trump. I mean, here we are running his comments live. In listening to this, Craig, I think he's addicted to two things. Polling data and Twitter. He doesn't seem to be able to get away from it.
He spends a lot of time holding up pieces of paper with both on them.
And constantly referencing his lead in the polls. Look at the polls and talking about the people who are, in the single digits, how they're a bunch of losers. But as you're listening to this, also listen, Craig, to the fact that the audience is cheering. They are loving it. They're eating it up.
But for how much longer? I mean,
that's what everyone keeps asking.
Well, but I think Katie Tur made an interesting point. I mean, at this point, folks who have gone to these speeches, they've heard the same stump speech.
No, they haven't. I think that is...
Or variations of.
No, but I actually think that that's one of the mistakes that the media makes, that you have political reporters who follow these candidates from, speech to speech, event to event, and they've heard it a million times. But those people, that's the first time they've heard it, and they have the man himself standing there, telling jokes, throwing pieces of paper, congratulating Miss South Carolina. This, for them, is their first introduction in person to Donald Trump, and clearly he has them, at least at the moment, in the palm of his hand.
And he is addressing a group of business leaders down there, we should note. Boeing, one of the two largest employers, private employers in the state of South Carolina, talking about an expansion there in China. Donald Trump in North Charleston, if he says something that is newsworthy, we will, of course, go back to it. Amy Holmes, thank you as well.
Craig, thank you.
The Pope's next stop